So I want to believe that as we proceed in today's business, the two whips, if we can save these bills today, so that as we go on recess, at least we can, say something that in this session we passed these bills. I think that would be a good record and a good score for us as a Senate. Senator Manzo, kindly proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute on this very important bill, the Mag Beans Bill 2022, brought by my brother, the Senator for Kitui, the Honorable Eno Kwambua. Mr. Speaker, the Mag Bean is the green grams and also popularly known as ndengu. Mr. Speaker, so that we may move with the Kenyans who are following this debate. Mr. Speaker, the Mag Bean is a plant which is very common in the drier parts of the country, especially makwiny, Kitui, Kajiado, and many of the farming, the coastal area, many of the farming dry parts of the country. It is a very rich source of proteins and used by a lot of people as a food, and again also as a soup, and it can make quite a number of, food substances. In Makwiny, we have a processing plant which was sponsored by World Bank a while ago, and this plant is currently being reformed by the current county government so that it can be effective. But the plant will not work well if farmers don't grow dengu. And therefore, the Ministry of Agriculture is very, very instrumental. And unfortunately, Madam Speaker, the Agriculture Ministry, which is devolved under the Constitution, has not fully been devolved. Agriculture is a very main component of what we do. Agriculture is a main earner, or is a main activity Kenya carries on. And we have different climatic conditions, and dengu favors the drier parts or survives with little rainfall. And therefore, it is encouraged, and this bill is very important, so that farmers can now start growing this rich source of protein, and clearly is also exportable because it is a very common legume and needed in many parts of the world as a source of protein, and especially for people who are vegetarians. And Madam Speaker, there's a growing, practice by many citizens of the world. A lot of them are going vegetarian, owing to one-time scarcity of meat, and secondly, the uncertainty of meat, and owing to the treatment of animals and the quality of meat. A lot of people have been advised by their doctors to be vegetarians, and especially as people age and there are problems with consumption of meat, then vegetarian diet fully supplemented with the protein is very, very important. And therefore, ndengu comes in as one of such plants. In Makwiny, it grows there, and it survives with very little rainfall. In fact, farmers who grow dengu are sure they are going to harvest even with 2 weeks rainfall. The biggest problem which has come up now is just like we had a case in Nandi and other places, maize affected by a strange disease. Similarly, dengu has also been hit by a very strange disease, and it has some little animal which attack it, and then it's blackish in color and covers the leaves and covers the stems and covers the ponds. County governments really have to be empowered to fight these diseases. This particular one, when sprayed, it's not responding to herbicides, whether organic or synthetic, and it's very frustrating to farmers. But I believe with this law, the county governments will be empowered, because there is a role of national government, there is AFA, and there is a role of the county governments. And more important If farmers are organized in cooperatives, it is easier to grow this plant and even marketing it locally and abroad. In fact, the demand for this particular bean is so much so that whatever is grown quickly ends up being consumed, and we begin to import. And I believe with such wonderful soils and wonderful climatic conditions in this country, despite the challenges of climate change, which we really, as a people, are making an effort to counter, it is imperatively very, very important that we make sure that this particular plant really gets support. And one of the best things Honorable Wambua has done is to give it a legal structure, so that the implementation and the growing and the support of farmers and the support by the international community, people who believe in a vegetarian diet, and many lobbyists in the world will come in and support the farmer growing this particular plant. And therefore, beginning by encouraging the farmers of Makwiny, Kitui, Machakos, Kajiado, and then the coastal area to really make it a very big part of their growing. For one, once harvested, it survives the little rainfall. Secondly, once harvested and you have excess, you can sell it at very good money, and you will find that you are able to buy other foodstuffs. And it's one way of ensuring that there is food security in the country. I have been in the Committee of Agriculture in the National Assembly once, and now in Senate I'm in the Committee of Agriculture. And our committee did very well to support this particular law, and it has also quickly moved on the floor of the House. And therefore, it is very important, even all senators and governors, to encourage in many other parts like Tharaka, many other parts of the country. It is also a plant which is easy to protect, from, attacks, wild animals and other crops like that. It is not consumed. And again, it takes a very, very short time to mature, and then dries up quickly, and it's very easy to process. And then storage, of course, becomes a challenge. And this is what Makwiny was trying to sort out, and is in a very advanced level in sorting this out. So first and foremost, while encouraging this debate, is to make sure as many farmers as possible in those favorable climatic conditions grow this plant. And now that we have a legal structure which is going to protect it. And secondly, the CECs of agriculture in the counties, to have an elaborate plan on how to make sure that there is enough seedlings, so that when the rains, just before the rain sets, and make sure that farmers are sensitized sufficiently to be able to plant as soon as the rains set. And if that happens, Madam Speaker, then it becomes very easy to deal, to encourage farmers. And coming back to the issue of cooperatives, if farmers are organized in cooperatives, they will easily deal with the herbicides issue, the seedlings issue, the marketing issues, because that's where one of the biggest challenges come. The control of prices to make sure that farmers are able to maximize their profits. It's also not that very much labor intensive. It doesn't require as much labor as other plants will do. Even the harvesting is picked by hand, and even by growing massively this dengu, then you're also creating employment. Young people will be busy when the rains come. They'll be busy while harvesting. They'll be busy while transporting. And they'll be busy while marketing, to different places. And in fact, in a lot of occasions, business people come along, in places like Makwiny, looking for this particular product, and are able to get a lot of it at a cheap price. So I believe when farmers are organized in cooperatives, it is easier to make sure that they are not exploited and we avoid the middleman. This also grows a lot in India, and it is one of the places. I can see my chairman for agriculture is in the house. It is one of the places in India we could also benchmark and see how the systems, including the storage and the warehousing, of which now we have a law in the country, can happen to reduce, post-harvest damages and the processes. And again, also the herbicides. If we could go more of organic, bio, the world over is very keen on bio products. It's very keen on products which have not been sprayed with herbicides, which are not natural. We are very much blessed, Madam Speaker, in Kenya that we have pyrethrum, which manufactures organic herbicides. And we could be leading when we are very sure that farmers, and that's why we talked about extension officers, have been guided properly. Farmers have been guided properly, and will find it easy to access to these herbicides which are organic. Then the European market will really welcome us. Because you see, from where we are, when we go synthetic herbicides, then we lose the market from the European countries. The European countries are very keen on getting organic products, especially for consumption in this era of cancer. And therefore, that's one of the things to look at so that we have a ready market, and it's also good for our own consumption when the herbicides are safe and even the storage. The storage becomes easier when you are using products which are natural, including pili-pili, can also be used to produce these organic herbicides. This has been one of the biggest challenges. And there is a very big debate now on GMO products. This is one of the ways to check GMO products coming from the country. We can develop our seed so that it's locally developed, it's natural, it's organic, and we have scientists in this country who make the best out of a product, so that we have a bean which is fully grown and grows quickly, and the seedlings is able to be planted without losses. So we have scientists in the country who can do that. So we do not have to develop a GMO product of this nature. Unfortunately, GMO products need a lot of herbicides to survive the harsh weather and the things which attack crops. But this particular crop can be developed in such a way it is able to survive local diseases, survive drought in the country, just by developing the normal seed. And with the framework which has been provided and the regulations which will be made thereunder, I believe it is doable, and the Kenyans are going to plant this very, very important crop in as many parts as possible, and challenge the national government, because it has roles, to really provide the infrastructure in terms of extra warehousing, now that we have a housing law, and storage, marketing strategies, and then most important, funding the counties, devolving this agriculture function to make sure that by the time the rain is set, we are ready. Being an agricultural country and having an agricultural-based economy, we have to utilize with a lot of wisdom every plant we plant in this country, so that it has the best seedling, it is best suited in its climate. And one of the areas to learn has been the Israel experience, where they grow crops through irrigation. We really should be moving from rain-fed agriculture to irrigated agriculture. But meanwhile, before we get there, because we are still for Kitui, Makwiny, Kajiado, and Machakos, Thwake Dam construction is going on, and I'm happy to report that it resumed today after failing for about 3 weeks, when its budget had been altered and 5 billion shillings removed from it. I'm happy to report now the monies are back after a very serious fight with the necessary departments, Ministry of Water and Treasury. The monies are back, and the young men who had been laid off are back to work. Once this dam is through, we want to irrigate to make sure even when the rains fail completely, now that we are in the era of climate change, these mung beans can still be irrigated, and the best out of that product can be realized. So, Madam Speaker, I really want to laud the Senator for Kitui, and we have come to his support. He did public participation. He got a lot of assistance from the Committee of Agriculture. He got a lot of assistance from our sister, the Honorable Mbethi Siengo, who is nominated, and originally where she comes from, this product is grown a lot. We really want to encourage Kenyans in all those counties where the this bean is grown to really come up, farmers, to know that this is a good product, now that there is a legal framework that they can grow it, but more important, encourage the national government to do its duty and the county governments to do their duty, and we will be there with farmers. We look forward to the passing of the bill on extension officers, so that we have knowledgeable extension officers who know best to deal with legumes and who can get the best out of legumes. There are other legumes which are very popular there, the real bean. We have the cowpeas, we have the green peas. There are so many other legumes. We have the popular minji from Kirinyaga. Now, in the other parts, we supplement with the green grams, and I believe will give the world enough proteins. I thank you, Madam Speaker. I support.
Honorable members, I have a communication to make on the visiting teachers and students from Orero Boys High School in Homa Bay County. Honorable Senators, in the public gallery, we have 45 students accompanied by 6 teachers from Orero Boys High School, Homa Bay County, who are in the Senate on an education tour. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. I thank you. I'd like to request Honorable Wambua on behalf of Team Homa Bay to welcome the team.
I thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity to welcome the visiting delegation from Homa Bay, students from Orero, madams and their teachers. For the visiting delegation, this is the Upper House, as it were, the Senate of the Republic of Kenya, where we legislate, and especially on matters that touch on devolution, to defend devolution and to ensure that devolution succeeds in the country. On behalf of your Senator, Senator Moses Kajwang, who occupies a very important position in this Senate as the chairman of the County Public Accounts Committee, I want to welcome you here. He must be out on official business to ensure that counties comply with all the regulations and all the rules governing devolution. On my behalf, on behalf of my colleagues in the Senate, I welcome you to the Senate. I thank you.
On the mung beans bill, I now call upon the mover to reply. Apologies, Senator Mungatana.
Yes, Madam Speaker, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to make a small contribution on this bill. Madam Speaker, the great senator of Kitui, the senator who has sponsored this bill, is my neighbor. Tana River County, we are neighbors with our good friends from Kitui. So when he's speaking about